Hey everybody, welcome back to Sophisticakes by Mary, and if you're new, welcome. For this tutorial, I thought I would do a design that's similar to one that you guys seem to really like, a two-toned buttercream cake, but for a change of pace this time I added some stenciling, same tone stenciling, some gold accents, and a little shortcut way of making the gold spheres to decorate your cake. So if this sounds interesting, stick around, we'll get right to it after the intro. So let's start off with those gold spheres. My little shortcut is to use styrofoam balls. Now you can go ahead and make solid chocolate spheres if you prefer with a silicone mold, but this time I thought I'd change it up a little bit and use some styrofoam balls that I already had. So I just went ahead and stuck some toothpicks in them because you'll need those when you are attaching it to your cake. And then I used some dark chocolate candy melts, and I melted them down at 50% power, 30-second increments, and then I added a little oil just to make it a little bit thinner and a little easier to tap off the excess. Go ahead and dip your styrofoam balls into the chocolate, just like you would a cake pop. Exactly the same way, and then tap off that excess, spinning it as you tap it so that you're not getting it all puddled into one spot. You want it to kind of move around as you're tapping off the excess. Now I did cut some spheres in half so that they would sit more flush with the side of the cake where needed. Now just set those aside and let them firm up. And now we'll go ahead and get the cake assembled. And I already had a crumb-coated, stacked and crumb-coated cake. This is a 3-layer 6-inch, and I'm just using some of my white American buttercream with a piping bag, applying it that way to kind of get out any air bubbles that might be still in it. My recipe is supposed to be bubble-free, but as it sits, sometimes it does develop some bubbles, and I find using a piping bag kind of helps with that. So just go ahead and level out the top and the sides, and remove the excess from around the top. And I wanted to go ahead and give it one more spin, one or two, can't remember, you'll see here, just to get that top corner even more crisp, that corner crisp. That to me is very important. And this is a trick to get your gold spheres coated with gold. If you don't want to use any vodka or Everclear or lemon extract or whatever way you like to make your gold paint, go ahead and use some dragées. They don't have to be gold ones. I just figured if I did them with the gold, then I can use them later. A little easier. Put some of your gold luster dust into your dragées, spin it around, get them, distributed in there, and then all you have to do, as you see, is just stick your balls in there, your spheres into that, and just kind of move it around, and it coats very well. Now this will kind of rub off if you touch them. You have to be careful once you have them coated to touch them as minimal as possible because that dust will kind of rub off. And I had moved it to another bowl that was a little deeper and easier to get your spheres into there, especially for the larger ones. Like this one, it's kind of harder to get them in there, and you'll see here a little trick I have. I didn't really show it on that one, but a little trick I have for those is to go ahead and stick the smaller spheres or the larger spheres in there. If the dragées don't reach the top, just kind of rotate the top or the whole thing in there. I don't know, it's hard to explain it. It's easier to watch. So you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. Now this one, see, I tried to use the fluffy brush, but it didn't really work, and you can't really get it in there. And there's where I'm kind of rotating it around, and that kind of worked. So I highly suggest doing that. Tap off the excess and set them aside until you are ready to use them on your cake. Now to do this two-toned, I went ahead and I made some navy colored buttercream, which is the navy food coloring by the brand that Hobby Lobby carries. I can't remember what it's called, but I actually, these deep colors, they don't really get as deep as you want them to without actually changing the texture of your buttercream. So I added a little black to get it deeper, just a touch of black. And then just kind of pipe out that line that you want it and fill it in, and then use your scraper to remove the excess. And I did add a few extra dots above the line there, just for a little extra touch of something different. And just smooth that down as best you can. Now this stencil I used is kind of a fan. I'm gonna say it's like a fan stencil. I didn't want to use it all the way around, but I just wanted little accents of it. So I'm using the same buttercream that I added a little water to get it a little bit thinner consistency, so it's easier to pipe or to stencil with. Remove the excess off there and then just pull off your stencil. But go ahead and make sure that your cake is firm before you do your stencil. Put it in your freezer for about 20 minutes before you do the stencil. That, to me, is the biggest key for a better success at doing buttercream stenciling, is making sure that your cake is chilled. Which also means you have to remove the excess a little faster because it's going to set up on there really quick. And then I just dry dusted some more gold onto, I was aiming for just the raised part of the stencil, but I did not want to cover the entire raised part. I just wanted it for a little accent. For this cake, I did not use any Everclear or any other liquid to make an actual paint out of the dust. I wanted to show you how you could use it without adding that. You can do it sometimes with some techniques. Now, once you get that on, go ahead and start placing your gold spheres. And to avoid touching them, that's why I'm using the toothpicks, because I did not want to touch them, and I'm just using some dedicated cake decorating pliers, needle nose type pliers, to push those in. Now, you see every once in a while, I do have to kind of push it in with the palm of my hand, but you can go back in and touch up, like right there. You can go back in and touch it up if you do end up rubbing it off. But just make sure that your brush that you're touching it up with doesn't have a whole lot on it. It's not going to take much, and you don't want to transfer it onto the cake unless you don't care. If you don't mind it, because it kind of goes with the dusting on the bottom on the stencil, that's fine too. And if you put one in there and you don't like it, like I did right there, go ahead and remove it and put another one. That was one of the half spheres. And I didn't like the way you could see the edge of it raised up, so I just went ahead and put in a full sphere. And to balance it out, I'm doing some on the other side, kind of catty corner from the top. Not as many, just a few. And I added a little buttercream there because that one lost its toothpick. And it didn't need it since it was on the bottom anyways, and a little buttercream's going to hold it on just fine. Because these don't weigh much. That's the other positive part of these, is they don't weigh much. And then I'm just adding some gold rods and some more gold balls. Some little chocolate covered gold balls. Just for another added touch of design. And I'm using my little pliers, or not pliers, those would be tweezers, that are also cake dedicated, words are hard, cake dedicated tweezers, just to help attach them to the cake without getting your hands all over it. And my cake was kind of coming to room temperature, so it was a little damp, just enough so that the dragées and the rods stick without having to add anything else to them. If your cake is at room temperature and it needs a little bit of help to stick, just use a little piping gel. Just brush a little tiny bit of piping gel either on the cake where you want to put your accents or on the dragées or rods themselves, and stick them where you want them. That will get them to stay. And that's it, guys. A fairly simple but impressive looking cake. I must say, I like this one quite a bit. So here's my two-tone fault line cake with gold accents and a little shortcut on how to make some gold spheres. So I hope you like what you saw, and if you did, please like and subscribe and share, hit the notification bell, do all the things, and that way you get notified when I upload. And I thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks. Bye.